Hello, my dear church boys, and welcome back to St. Robert's Day Game Pickup Podcast. On this podcast episode, I'm catching up with Paulo. Paulo is a guy who I coached in Porto, Portugal around 5 months ago in autumn 2020 before going to Mexico. Paulo was just starting out in Day Game, and I interviewed him for podcast episode number 59, where he talked about his journey, how he started day gaming, about his experience throughout coaching. But in this podcast episode, we're looking at how Paulo has been doing after he started day gaming, after he learned everything, and what his day game journey has been over these 5 months in different countries. He has day gamed in Portugal, he has day gamed in France, he has day gamed in Mexico, and he has day gamed in Ireland. And this episode is full with crazy stories about a guy in his early 40s banging chicks that are 18, 19, in their early 20s, having these crazy adventures and having a total of 17 day game lays in around 6 months since he started day gaming. If you're new to my podcast, then it's important you know that most of the stuff that we're actually is happening in our day game community, most of the information that I'm putting out, like it doesn't really make it to the podcast because I only do podcasts once a week, maybe once in 2 weeks, and then like one YouTube video a week. But there's so much more going on, and it would just be an information overload if I put it all in the podcast. So if you want to make sure you don't miss on anything else that I send out or anything else that's happening in your community, make sure you are signed up to our mailing list. And to do that, just go to strobert.blog, that is strobert.blog, and fill any of the forms there, and you'll simply get a weekly newsletter where I send out anything that's been happening over the week and all the information that you need to know. And also in the welcome email, you will receive an invitation link to join our Day Game Church group chat on Telegram app, where we have around 200 guys from all over the world. And that's where all the questions are answered. That's where all the discussions are happening. That's where day game trips are planned, etc., etc., etc. So make sure you are on both of those things, the mailing list and the group chat. In this podcast episode, you will hear me and Paulo talking about a trip we're planning in July. We're doing a month-long trip with, let's call it the inner circle, like guys that I'm the closest with from the community, some of the best day gamers we have in the community. And we sometimes do trips together. And we're doing one trip like that in July. And I will also take a few students with us on that trip. So if you're interested in that, then send me an email to robert@strobert.blog. That is robert@strobert.blog. But we will hear more about that throughout this podcast. And right now I'm in Belgrade, Serbia, where I came to spend a month, maybe 1.5 to 2 months, we'll see. So, and afterwards in June, I will be for a month in Riga, Latvia. And between Serbia and Latvia, I might be for a few weeks in Ukraine. So if you're interested in getting some coaching in Europe, whether that's in Serbia or in Ukraine or in Latvia, then again, send me an email to robert@strobert.blog and I'll send you all the details. Buenas tardes, buenos dias, whatever it is where you are. Where are you? Ireland?
Yeah, so I'm in Ireland right now. I'm in beautiful County Cork, and there's actually a little bit of sun shining, so yeah, it's not bad to be back in Ireland at the moment.
Nice. Sun is something I haven't seen every day because Belgrade is not as sunny as I expected it to be. I came here for the Serbian spring, but Serbian spring seems to be very rainy.
Okay.
So for the guys who maybe don't know who you are, let's remind them that we did a podcast with you around, I don't know, 5 months ago, maybe 4.5, 5 months ago, when I was coaching you in Portugal. And we did a podcast
Yes.
right after we finished your coaching and telling your stories, and you had gotten, I think, one lay from day game from the up during the days of coaching, but then actually that's when all the crazy shit started happening. So for the guys who haven't listened to that podcast and want to hear that, just search for Paulo, and you'll find the podcast episode around 5 months back. But now I wanted to catch up, and I know you've been very busy with girls. Portugal was very productive for you, and then we went to Mexico, like a whole bunch of us guys, and you got a bunch of plays there. So I see you're doing good, and I wanted to kind of like give the guys a view of what has happened in your life, like 5 6 months after coaching. How, because I have a lot of podcasts where I interview guys like soon after coaching or something like that. But this would be kind of like we did it, and now because some time has passed, and so what's happening in Paulo's life from terms of day game now?
Wow, that's a good introduction there you just made. So yeah, back in those days in Porto, when you were coaching me, looking back now, wow, what a transformation. So this started as a kind of dive into the pickup or the world of day game or street hustle, however people want to call it, and ended up basically changing my life. You know, not making one of those kind of big kind of Instagram post story kind of context, but essentially, um, so when you coach me in Porto, there was a lot of old beliefs I had about myself, my sexuality, about women and relations that that they ended up being deconstructed, and new beliefs ended up being built based on the action that I start taking, right? So it started about how to approach and how to stop the girl and fears about masks and COVID, to actually building interesting conversations where I was able to spark attraction, and then working all the way through the dates. So yeah, I don't even know where to start to be honest.
So what's can you give us like the brief short overview of, you said you had some limiting beliefs, and then you kind of worked through them. Can you tell us what those limiting beliefs were in the beginning?
Hmm. So the principal one was to do with some kind of shame I had about going for what I wanted. So in the back of my mind, there was this subconscious belief that it wasn't really right to go up to a girl and shut her up in the middle of the street and with everybody watching and assuming that I wanted to have sex with this girl, right? That was the biggest limiting belief. And once I started to deconstruct that and build a more valuable belief for myself, which is, we're all in a way sexual animals that are attracted to each other in certain circumstances, and assuming that and going for what I wanted was really the catalyst that allow myself to propel my game and leverage my game to a completely different level. So this is outside of techniques,
No,
but uh,
techniques are beginning just the beginning.
yeah. Yeah, exactly. And then the other thing was to do with the conviction, right? So as as you start building volume of approaches and getting yourself in busy streets and stopping girls, and sometimes they don't stop and you have to go again, and understanding that a lot of the magic to stop the girl is about your vibe, your attitude, because a lot of the times I was projecting a shade, a shadow, where I was afraid to go and talk to her, right? And when we have this fear, somehow we project that, and then the person mirrors that back to you, right? And you get blown out. So also understanding um, that 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 concept was key for me to get better results based on the approaches I was doing. Yeah, so I think that is a good context to base things for the ones that didn't really listen to the previous podcast can have a little idea about the transformation.
By the way, an interesting thing that, especially for people who didn't listen to the previous one, how old are you?
43. I'm gonna be
Yeah, so you're.
44 this year.
Yeah, I wanted actually to ask, like, when is your birthday? But can you like, not the date, don't say the date, but like, if you say month or like part of the
October.
year, when?
It's in October.
Oh, October. Yeah, because I was thinking we've been hanging out for like 5, 6 months and we never celebrated your birthday, so it probably was before we met. Okay,
Yeah.
another October day gamer. This has been a trend. Honestly, this has been a trend. Like so many, the guy. Yeah, I know many day gamers who are like, born in October and who are Libras, and yeah, but that's just yeah. Can you remember maybe a lay when you started day gaming that really opened your eyes to what's possible? Kind of like aha
Yeah.
moment.
Yeah. So I was walking up that street in Porto, close to the apartment where
The
we were
second
staying.
apartment or first one?
The first one,
First
and
one, yeah.
this
Or
and
what
this
is
was the
Flores?
yeah, and this was just the day after I got my first lay from day game, with a girl I met during the coaching session with you in the last day. And then
Yes.
the day after, there was this guy playing guitar on the street, and
Black guy,
I
right?
was
Not black, but
the what?
very dark, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah, and
remember the day. Rainy day, right?
well, no, this was actually no, this was kind of sunny, and
Okay.
there was a guy playing music on the street. This was the street by Flores, I think,
Hmm.
and I give a coin to the guy because I was just trying to get into a good mood to start my thing, and I see this girl walking past, and I notice she's kind of cute, and she also stops to give the guy a coin, but she doesn't have a coin, so she kind of keeps up, and I'm like, geez, I have to go and open this girl. So I went, and I used a little bit of that context about the fact she was looking for a coin and she didn't have money to kind of tease her, and got the number, and she, and she moved on, and I sent a filler text. She didn't reply. But then later that day, I was walking by the river in Ribera, and I see this girl again, and then we just kind of got back, and from there it happened the first same day late, right?
Yeah.
So the aha moment was to understand that, wow, this shit actually works, and it can work a lot faster than you think. So seeing that interaction between man and woman to happen in some same day, we ended up going for kind of an insta date, and then from that I pull home, with some drinks and some food, and then it was like, yeah, and I think you were actually there, so so you're like, what the fuck just happened there, Paulo? Um,
Yeah, I was surprised, but I don't even. I remember like I saw a few chicks that you brought home, but I don't remember which one was that because there were many. Nice. So that was your first same day delay. That's nice. And I remember a beautiful way when we moved to the other apartment in Porto. For after we spent a month together, we moved to this other apartment. And one night I went to sleep because I had started going to sleep fairly early to prepare for the jet lag. I think early or late. I don't remember. Whatever. Are you pouring water or peeing?
no, I'm just preparing a coffee here.
Okay.
Sorry, sorry.
Mm,
So good coffee
I'm
to keep me
experimenting
going.
with. I just bought some new teas today because I'm experimenting with some teas instead of coffees, by the way, for productivity. Just
Oh,
like while I'm here in Belgrade, they have like puer teas like 10 times cheaper here than anywhere else. So, anyways, I remember we moved to the new apartment and I'm going to sleep and then some screaming wakes me up middle of the night. And I think that is an impressive story for anyone who's listening who's like late 30s, early 40s, mid 40s, even late 40s. To anyone listening who's in that age group, this should be like, if it happened to them, they would be, oh shit, this stuff works. So can you tell the story?
Yeah, so it was a Saturday morning, and there wasn't a lot of volume, and there was a kind of curfew at 1 p.m. over weekends, which was fantastic. So I went day gaming on a Saturday morning, and I see this girl. She was kind of, different, and went up to her, and I stopped her. She stopped, and start kind of stacking, and I didn't really knew that the hook point was there, but I assumed it was, and we ended up talking about popular Brazilian music. And it wasn't a lot of one of those sets that you think, wow, this was a great set. Because we were kind of, the topic was about the Brazilian music, and we did the set mostly in English. And then I got to know she was Brazilian, so I kind of went into this topic of Brazilian music. And it wasn't easy, it wasn't one of those sets where the conversation flows easily. But I closed strong, and sorry, there was something here.
Yeah.
So I closed strong anyway, and then surprisingly enough, she actually texted with a smile, and to the filler, and I was like, wow, this was unexpected, right? So the first surprise was that some people are very shy, and then the interaction is not exactly the same way you perceive it from your end and from her end. So she loved the fact that I approached her. The texting was very easy. A date request came shortly after that, and she was just 18 or 19-year old, and yeah, that ended up being the girl waking you up. Sorry about that. Saying something like, "Yes, daddy, yes, daddy." So
Yes, daddy. Yes, daddy. Fuck me harder, daddy. Do you like it, daddy? Yes, daddy. Yes, daddy. And like she wouldn't shut the fuck up. And I thought it's another chick. I actually thought it's another girl, but then it turned out it's this one. And it was like I was confused. Where the fuck did she come from? Well, you met her today. What the fuck?
yeah, it was fast, and it was unexpected. But I did that to do a bit of game in that date to do the pull home. But at the end of the day, I think she wanted more than I actually wanted. And yeah, it's actually very interesting to understand that the younger the girl is, sometimes the more keen she is about making things happen. And it's more straightforward because she doesn't have as much, she's not going to put as much shit tests as it's said in the community, right? So that was a lot of fun, and I was like, wow, this shit works, and it can work to for things way above that I thought it was possible. So yeah, that was
So
Porto.
how did Porto end? How many lays did you get in Porto total?
She's the card quit. So in
I think eight.
total,
I think eight.
so um, yeah, I think it was about 8 between Porto and something that had happened before in France. So
Yes.
so yeah, so that was about 8, I think, and then I ended up kind of losing my job and going to Mexico, which was,
Losing your job? Did you lose your job?
well, in a way, I got rid of that job. Yeah. So
Oh, I didn't know that.
so that I was in a contract, and that contract kind of finished a little bit unexpectedly, which, but it was great because that allowed me to go to Mexico.
Yeah, because we were
So
talking like I was you were seeing like you wanted to go to Cape Verde And I was thinking where to go, and I thought Cape Verde is a bit too small for me. And we were talking with Mr. You heard me talking with Mr. T about going maybe to Kenya, maybe to Mexico. And then just one day decided, fuck it, let's go to Mexico. And you joined us, and that was fucking like months of adventures.
Yeah, so this was when the lifestyle also starts to propel with all the changes you're making in your social circle and your personality. So suddenly I saw myself completely free in a position I could go to Mexico for at least a month. And yeah, I joined you guys there, and that was really amazing because that was a different level, right? So let me just give a bit of context here. So steering the conversation towards Mexico. Um, I left Porto. That was pretty cold and empty. At that stage, things were getting a little bit gloomy in Portugal. And then arrive in Mexico, and this place is completely alive, full of chicks everywhere, people selling you everything, clubs are open, restaurants are open, and I'm coming with like this three jackets, and just completely going from winter in Europe to winter in Mexico. That is kind of summer best than any summer in Europe. So it took me a little while to kind of go over the jet lag and adaptation, and it was a different level because okay, I was getting numbers when I started, and I was kind of seeing it as a numbers game. Okay, I have all these numbers, and then have the dates. I was seeing it like a pipeline of sales, something like that.
Yeah.
But in Playa del Carmen, I realized that things happen a lot faster, and the girls are always kind of coming and going between Cancun and Tulum and day trips, and so you have to move a lot faster, and have to screen a lot harder. So the kind of there was a period of adaptation of my game to the new logistics, and also getting familiar with the new reality there, right? So the level of the girls was way higher, and but there was also a lot more things going on and a lot more guys. So in a way, I had to screen harder and grow my balls really hard to start experience the real Mexican experience. But that was where I think the transformation really started to materialize, because I saw myself challenged in lots of different levels that I was just not prepared, and there's no book or technique that's gonna teach you all the things you
Well, the
need
good the
to.
good news is the other guys were pretty close, and everyone went like for a beer like once in a while, like or for like a quick lunch or something. So it was easy to kind of. I think it's like in an environment like that, it's easy to kind of reach out if you need anyone to kind of tell you, well, it's all right, don't worry, keep
Yeah,
going.
yeah, exactly. I mean, there was some amazing guys that I had the opportunity to share time and beers and and a few other things, and that provided a lot of growth, right? Because that was a painful growth at one stage. I remember one day I was almost crying because I saw myself in this Insta date with this very attractive girl, and but I still didn't had Paulo. So it was like, how do I put it? In a way, uh, I was a step I was a step ahead where my subconscious was not there yet, right? So um, I was building connection without teasing hard, without screening hard, without building the attraction, right? So I saw some of the dates slipping away because I was building too much comfort. I was not really teasing and creating attraction and assuming that male female dynamic that is essential to make things work on a date, right? So I remember that I saw myself, because this is after you kind of reach, you have a few lays and you think, okay, you understand how this works, and then suddenly you're challenged with a different level of girls, and you need to adapt your game to a different level to materialize things. So so there was a time of a bit of pain, right? Because that was the kind of growing pain happening. But then when the results started to show up, they were just fucking unbelievable. Um, I managed to get some kind of secret society lays. I managed to have a lot of same day lays, and I managed to have a lot of dates and hookups with really amazing, beautiful girls. Um, that, if you had tell me that 3 months ago, I would say, no, bro, that's not gonna happen. She's completely out of my league. And then there I was, kind of living the dream, and sharing like sunsets with beautiful, hot young girls, and it was like, wow, you know. Um, and then I had to kind of grow my values again to align with that and to accept that and to make that to be a good experience, right? Because another thing that happened in Mexico was that some of these lays became mini relationships, or what the guys say regulars, although I didn't really manage to have that kind of baller regular. Hey, you got to come over, and 2 hours later she's around. But you
No,
know
that's not what a regular is. That's like, I don't do that. Like, I do the nice thing you say, mini relationships. That's what my regulars are. I think that's a misconception about what a regular is.
Yeah, so I had to kind of then align, you know, a lot of other things to my dating skills, which was, okay, now we're going on a trip to Isla Mujeres. I don't know anything about Isla Mujeres. I let the frame drop. She loses her phone. Like lots of things happen sometimes. That we envision. Okay, we're gonna go into this romantic island and having a great time, and first thing happens, like the girl gets sick and loses her phone, and you ended up having to deal with all this real life things, right? That help you to actually become better at relations and understanding the importance of holding the frame. Um, that is way deeper than any technique that you can learn, right? So then I think that's been the overall key concept that's been now under development, is to keep the frame of the interactions, so that you build fulfilling relationships with these amazing people that you meet in your journey. That is day gaming.
Yeah, I can promise you one thing, because this hasn't been announced yet, but well, we're doing this because once in a while we do these trips, like we did in Mexico, where we went a bunch of guys there, and it was basically either guys that I knew already, I had coached them in the past and I knew them well, or it was guys who were coming there to get coaching, and then we were hanging out there together, and like we spent a shitload of time there together. And another thing that you were invited to as well is we're doing a July getaway for maybe a few weeks, maybe a month, whoever can join for how much time. But me, Mr. T, David, you, Mario, Yash, also, we're all going on a longer trip, and it will happen. Like you've seen Porto, you've seen you've seen Mexico. Well, I can promise you one thing: when we go to the countries that we're planning to go to, and we either go to like it's not known yet, but it will be in the eastern part of Europe country. It's not that hard to get in, but we haven't set a country yet. That will be kind of like a last moment type of thing, looking at restrictions, and it doesn't really matter where we go. But I can promise you one thing: if you almost cried in Mexico, I'm pretty sure you will cry once you get there. Because
Okay.
going to those places, uh, I actually am starting to love those places for coaching, the harder ones, because like once you learn in harder places, like maybe like if you learn in Serbia or if you learn in Ukraine in some places or in Russia or maybe New York City, like the places that are harder for coaching. Once you learn there, then anything else you go to, any other place seems like a walk in the park, and it just seems like going to Mexico was like, oh fuck this is easy. Like I want to go away. This is like kind of like children playing. Like give me something fun. And now I went to Serbia and I but when I first came to Serbia 1.5 years ago, I got my ass handed to me. But now that I've traveled so much more and I've improved my game so much more, and I see this place is actually like pretty fucking cool. But now I know, like, if someone has bad game, they will get destroyed here, even with average or even with decent game, they'll be destroyed. At the same time, I have a coaching scheduled here, and I'm planning to go to a few other places, and we're gonna do that huge trip with the whole team and a few students, 2 to 3 students that can join us either for like a week or for a month, however long they want. But the location will be disclosed only to people who are like part of the inner circle or to people who are coming for coaching. It will stay secret until the last day. Even the students coming, they will only know where they're going after they've totally signed up. Like
Wow.
I want this place to be secret. Um, Especially it's summer and those cities, all of the cities that we have talked about going to, like they're all good for game and they're really good, but I don't want them to be over game, which has been a problem in the past. Uh,
Hmm.
so that for you, whichever of the ideas we had, whichever we choose, that for you will definitely be a next level adventure. But I see you are always very passionate about game and about hacking these challenges and finding ways to not evolve only technically, because just as you said, like there's no technique you can learn to build a genuine connection with a girl. And that's kinda true in a way. You can build connections that aren't that genuine with techniques, but if you really want to build good ones, that's not technical. You have to go through the technical phase of the game to become really good with girls, but then you start learning new things on your own. Once you know the technical stuff and you can easily get laid and you have abundance, then learning the rest becomes actually very easy. But if someone learned everything else, like how to build connection and all the things you said right now, a frame connection, if they learned all of that but they didn't have the technical part, they would still not succeed in game, unfortunately.
Exactly.
So, so how long did you spend in Mexico? Like 3 months or something?
Almost 3 months. And in the middle, I got a visit of an old friend, an old female
Old
friend,
friend.
that she stayed. She didn't want to go. She stayed for about 4 weeks. So I stayed in total for about, I think it was 10 or 11 weeks in Mexico. And in about 4 weeks, I wasn't really gaming because I had his friend over.
Yeah.
Um, so the last 2 weeks were just were just completely crazy. So I got a few lays before my friend arrived, but then once she left, I don't know, it was just like there was a different dimension open to me. Um, and I started to, when I left Mexico, I had a lot of kind of near misses that, just didn't happen because I literally left Mexico.
Yeah.
I remember, I'm gonna just tell you about two of them, right? One was a girl I stopped in Quinta on a Friday evening, okay? So this was that weekend of the spring break, and the city was on fire that evening. So I knew that this was my last Friday in Playa, and if I wanted to get some more notches, I would have to go all in that evening. And I had a few guys kind of behind me, and they were like, "Yeah, go," and which was great, right? Because I was kind of having that little ego test. Okay, I'm doing it in front of the guys. But then I literally kind of forget about it, and I was just going like a machine. And I think I got like maybe some six contacts that night. But for one reason or the other, like they were all kind of either going to birthday parties or moving back to Cancun or but I stopped this Argentinian girl and it kind of hooked straight away because it was so genuine and the open was so strong. And then suddenly this guy comes next to us and she's giving me all these IOIs and this guy is kind of looking weird and I'm like, is this your boyfriend? And she just kind of goes in front of him, kind of ignore him, I'm here. And that was
Oh my
just so
God.
funny, because basically I think this was just a random guy that probably they were traveling together from Cancun and he was just amazed. I mean, probably was into her, but he wasn't going anywhere. And suddenly I arrived coming from the middle of nowhere and she's all delighted, right? So that was a kind of an interesting one that didn't happen, but it just because I left Mexico, and also seeing that the difference between teasing harder kind of really worked there, and then at the end of that night, it was about to be one of those nights, nothing's gonna happen, and then I do the bit of gutters game. I go back to the street, so I was having beers with the guys, and the guys left. I was trying this threesome with these two chicks that I opened in the bar, but then they had to go home, and then I see the guys had left, and I go back to the street, and I see this girl walking past, and I say hi, and I go over and she stops, and we ended up going for an Insta date, and that ended up being a same night lay, right? Which basically happened uh, after midnight in a busy street, but it was still a day game because it was still from the
Of
street,
course, who cares?
and that was like wow, and I started to build this conviction, and seeing it used of social situations, also in a taco bar in that place we used to go for tacos. I also got one lay from there, a girl I opened, she was sitting next to me. So I start seeing all these other different possibilities of making things happen out of, restaurants and outside outside the bars and restaurants as well. So essentially, my key takeaway is that confidence is not going to bring you results, and it's not just about the techniques, but obviously as you able to deliver the techniques almost automatically, you're able to notice a lot more things about the girl, which eventually going to build you a lot of connection. And also the conviction, right, is the conviction that you build that if you if you go and approach beautiful women that you're genuinely attracted to, you can have the conviction that you will get what you want, and life will give you what you want because you are putting the efforts and you're acting with a conviction, and that conviction builds over time, and obviously the more results you have, the more conviction you have, and that's yeah, I think that's the fucking magic about it, and I can definitely see first a big evolution, but also there are some ups and downs, right? I mean, there are ups and downs, and there's times when I came back to Europe after Mexico, um, at the beginning it was a little bit hard to adapt to a completely different reality. Uh, but then again, you go back and get that conviction back, and results happen again, right? So I had a situation. I went to Montpellier for two days. I got a day game, same day delay there, which was pretty cool. Um, and I was like, okay, I didn't lost my mojo in Mexico. I still have it. and things here now in Cork are happening as well. So yeah, guys, this thing works in every city, with obviously different adaptations, and you have to have your vibe to. When I came back from Mexico, I was still with that kind of beach boy look, but I had to kind of groom myself a little bit different and adapt, and yeah, things are fine.
Yeah, that's an important thing that like in Mexico you can walk around in a tank top, just like looking like a stylish bum. And
Exactly.
chicks love it, but if I did that shit in Belgrade, like no, you kind of have to adapt a little bit to each city. I'm not saying like wear a suit or anything, but there are cities that are more traditional and you can't look like a beach bum, and in other cities you can't look like if you looked serious in Playa del Carmen, then well yeah, it's not gonna work as well.
No.
'Cause people are like girls are there to have fun, not to just they're not looking for a husband, and they don't want to pretend they are, and so you have to have minor adjustments to each city obviously, but at the same time like day game is like I don't know how you view it, but I view that I think a day game is maybe like 95%, 95% the same wherever you go, and then there's like 5 to 10% you have to adjust in your game.
Exactly. Yeah, there's always small adjustments that you need to do, and even I mean now with the restrictions, right? So now where I am, there's the bars and restaurants are closed. Now you can get takeaways, which makes something interesting, right? Which is some of the places that you thought they would be the busiest, they're calm now because those clubs are closed, and you have to go to the to the streets where Tesco and Aldi, and you have to go and stop girls inside Tesco, and you obviously learn a few things, right? Because imagine Saturday, it's a big day here in Cork to meet people outside, Saturday and Sunday. Everybody goes into town if it's sunny, which is great. But if you try to go to a supermarket on a Friday evening, it's so busy that it actually works against you because you're trying to stop and there's no distance, and the girl's kind of freaking out just to stop the girl. While if you go to Tesco on a, let's say on a Wednesday evening after 8, it's great. You can it's a lot easier to stop the girl. So there's different adaptations, obviously, to day gaming now in Europe. You because I didn't particularly like to go to grocery stores, but fuck it, if that's what I have to do here,
To
then I
get
do
laid.
it. You know?
Yeah, I think that is what you just like guys that always had excuses why their game doesn't work. Now they have a new excuse, and as you like, you're in a place with restrictions. I'm in a place where well, bars are. When I arrived here, the only thing you could get is a takeaway coffee.
Yeah.
Now, like outdoor seating is open in bars, but just outdoors. You can only sit outdoors. But even like it was takeaway coffee, like you date request for takeaway coffee. Now that it's outdoor seating, you go for one drink outside. You say, "Oh, it's so fucking cold. Let's go to my place. It's a bit warmer." But nothing will happen. Be a good girl, like, and they come to your place because again, it's a legit reason. It's like outside. It's a few degrees above freezing. It's fairly cold, and the bar is cold outside, so you just pull home and she goes because she's cold as well, and you just have to adapt, and so what's next for Paolo in his not just day game anymore, I mean life.
Mhm.
What are the next plans?
Exactly. So, good question. So essentially, now I'm moving back to Portugal. I had to come to Cork. I think this is, this kind of concept of a Euro journey. When I look what happened the last 7 months, I wouldn't believe it. I just wouldn't believe it. Um, I changed jobs. I changed location. I had to cut one relation with someone important in my life. Um, I saw it all. It was when I thought that I had achieved something, life always challenges you with new things, right? So when I came back to Cork, um, it wasn't such a walk in the park because being in the city where you're from, it's gonna bring you some of your deepest fears, right? That you have to conquer. But then that just, then with a bit of time and distance, you can see over that. So what's next for me? So I'm leaving Ireland and going back to Portugal and developing a lifestyle as remote as possible where I can travel, be location independent. So that's my next step is to improve my making money capacities so that I can, work from wherever I want and also work on some investments about day trading and cryptocurrency so that I can eventually have a job that is completely independent where I make my own money wherever I want to be and I don't have a boss, right? So that's the next step to get rid of the boss and and have more independence in terms of where I want to be and who I want to be. So in terms of lifestyle and in terms of day game, it's to continue the journey to go for what I want, um, to date younger girls in their early 20s, um, and also um, seeing day game as something that is part of my life and not just like a core, right? Not just as a task. That
Exactly.
I know that in a way a lot of guys say this and then they kind of don't do it. So you have to be careful how to phrase it, right? Because if you just think, well, this is just part of my life now, it's easy also to become rusty, if you suddenly have like seeing this girl for a couple of weeks and then it's easy to get clingy in that relation if you don't have new leads. So, in reality, day game never stops, but it's not like a on-off button for me, right? It's you do have at the same time to make to make plans that okay, that day I'm gonna have a real proper session where I'm not gonna stop just after two phone numbers. I'm gonna really go for it, and um, and then also understanding that your time is very important, right? So it's obviously important that it's not just a matter of volume, because I think at one stage you want to get notches, right? You want to get the counts, but also gets to a point where you you want to build relations that are valuable. If you're going to spend 2 or 3 months in one place, it's definitely beneficial if you have two or three people more close to you that you can enjoy spending time with in whatever relation format you decided that to be, so that you can become productive in other areas of your life as well. So either building a house or building a garden or cooking for your family or you're going to the gym or learning new things about trading or some technical skills, right? So that's basically the next for me. It's to integrate day game in a more organic way into my life, so that I can really leverage my time and money to have a lifestyle where I can be in sunny Mexico or crazy Ukraine or chilling in Greece or meeting my friends in the Algarve. So it's essentially to keep developing my lifestyle and making day game an organic part of it.
Okay. So since so now you've taken for like 5 6 months now. How many
Mhm.
lays have you got in this time? I think you were like at 8 in Porto and like 8 in Mexico, right?
Yeah, and I got another one in Montpellier. So I was 17, and
17
I
lays in less than 6 months.
yeah, and I got late yesterday, but I don't think that I'm not sure that can count as a day game because
Well, was
although
it?
I knew this girl
Where did you
from
meet her?
I meet her through dance
Okay,
and
it's a bit
we
different, yeah.
yeah, and she was following me on Instagram. So and she reached out to me because she saw a dance video. But
Yeah,
then
okay, that's
from
different.
that
But
but that
still.
but from that point on I used all the basically the texting, the dating.
Yeah, no, the day
So
game gives you the basics, and you use those basics wherever you can afterwards.
but it wasn't a
Well,
cold
I'm
approach, so I don't think that counts.
yeah. Well, I'm glad to hear you'll be doing so well, and we'll be seeing each other in July in some nice eastern location with very leggy, tall, beautiful girls.
Yeah.
We'll be having a lot of fun. If any one of the guys who listens to this wants to join us, then send me an email to robert@strobert.blog. That is robert at strobert.blog, and I'll send you all the details. I'll send you the approximate dates. So it's gonna be July. I'm gonna tell you know that it's gonna be the eastern part of Europe. It might be Ukraine, it might be Serbia, it might be Russia. That is like this is kind of for guys who don't care which of those countries it is, and we'll be there for a month. And if you want to join us for a month, that's cool. If you want to join us just for a week, that's cool too. Just send me an email and I'll send you all the details. It's been fun catching up, Paulo. I'm glad to hear you're doing so well.
Yeah, well, it's been a pleasure to also catch up with you and
Yeah,
seeing as well all the fun you had in Mexico. You definitely you definitely made the most out of it. And
I was pretty doing okay.
yeah, man. Come on. Yeah, Robert is sometimes you can be you can be very light about your own self skills, but no, guys, Robert was a pleasure to hang out in Mexico. And man, you were busy, and I don't know, you still managed to get so many things done. You know, you released all these podcasts and YouTube videos, and you were still picking up chicks there, way, way higher league. So it's always also a pleasure to learn from you about the way you're optimizing your life,
I'm just
and
lazy,
really, uh,
and because of
no.
that, I'm effective.
Good. No, but no, it was great to catch up with you, and definitely I would like to say as well, um, guys, this started as a coaching, this relationship. Well, got to know Robert, and but since then, the channels that were open and the people that I had the pleasure to meet, really helped also to propel my life, and not just in dating, in other areas. So um, I can see that the time and money I invested in coaching already paid off in my case. And the funny thing is that when we look into it, we don't see the what can be in the in the long run, right? So now when I look back where I was with my life in Porto, and not saying that it was bad, but just the transformation that happened in so many different areas, um, it's way more than I could expect when I went for coaching. So yeah, looking forward to the next adventure with the guys, and
July.
in July, and yeah, and looking forward to challenge myself
It will be fun.
with this new challenges, and yeah, looking forward to it.
Well, guys, I hope you like this chat with Paolo. As always, if you're listening to this on YouTube, just give this video a thumbs up. If you liked it, leave comments on any questions you have. If you're listening to this on iTunes or Spotify or wherever else, just give this podcast a 5-star review, follow. It just helps me to reach more guys, to kind of spread my message and help more guys to transform their lifestyles. Thanks for listening, guys, and goodbye.
Cheers. Goodbye.